Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time of stopping by. Hi, nice meeting you for the first time. So in today's video we'll be making this lovely gown for our princesses. If it's something you're interested in, please keep watching and watch to the end. And to my old subscribers, you guys know I really appreciate all your effort. Thank you very much for supporting me. So without wasting so much time, let's get into the video. So for this style, the first thing I'm going to cut out is our flay. You don't want to cut out your bodice first and later you discover that the fabric is not enough for your flay, or the pattern of where you cut out is that will affect the flay. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and cut my flay first. And for this flay, I'm going to be marking my waist measurement, my round waist measurement divided by 4. That's what I'm trying to get there. So what I marked, I think I marked about 3.5 inches. I marked it round, then measure it, and I found out that it's a little bit, it's remaining small for it to be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the line a little bit. So what the line you are seeing at the extreme is don't worry about it. So what I'm going to be marking is the length of the longer side is about 15 inches and the short one is about 5 inches. So what I'm going to do is to mark at 10. When I mark at 10, I'm going to take the remaining 5 from the other side and add it to the other side. That's after I'm done marking. By the time I move the fabric, I'll have 5 there at one side. Then the remaining 5 that completed the 10 inches, I'm going to move it to the back side to make it 15 inches. So I'm not going to cut out the waist radius first. Now that we're going to do that after we are done arranging the fabric. So after cutting the length of it, I'm going to open it up, then fold it into 2 before folding it again. So what I'm folding here is to get one side of it shorter than the other side, and this shorter side you are going to make sure that what you have is you're going to cut out your waist radius and then make sure the length is up to the length that you want. That's the length of your waistline. We are dealing with 4 inches, 3 inches to 4 inches, depending. In fact, work with your measurements, then plus the inches, the length of the short side of the flame. So that's what I folded, and I'm going to go ahead and remark my waist radius, measure it, and make sure I have enough. If I don't, I will increase it. If I have more down, I will decrease it. And this is where we're going to cut out our waist measurement, our waist radius. So when you open it up, you see it, we have our waist, and the one side is short and the other side is long. So we're going to go ahead and cut our bodice now. And my fabric is a bit thick and silky, so I'm going to be cutting the 2 bodies separately. I'm sorry for the light on the fabric, it changed the color. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark my half length. Then I added 1 inch allowance for joining. I'm going to go ahead and make a straight line there. If you haven't subscribed up to this moment, what are you waiting for? Please hit on the subscribe button, join the growing family, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video or you are enjoying it. Then the next thing I did is to mark half of my shoulder measurement, and then I added ½ inch for joining. That ½ inch doesn't necessarily mean anything because at the end of the day we are not working with the shoulder measurement. And for this off shoulder, I'm taking out 4 inches, and that 4 inches I'm going to place my tape at 4 inches before marking my armhole depth, which is also 6 inches, half of my shoulder measurement. And I went ahead to mark the line straight. So for my neckline, I went for the width, I marked at 4 inches. And for the depth, I think I went down by 1 inch while making this video, but after cutting it out, I decided to go down by 1 inch more. So from the 4 inches I marked, I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the armhole and mark the width of the depth of my neckline. I also connect it to the width of it. If you like, you can leave yours straight, but for me, I decided to give it v-neck kind of stuff. So I went ahead at my armhole line to mark my bust measurement plus my inches plus my sewing allowance, and I'll do the same thing for my waist. Your allowance, depending on how much you want it, there's no formula for it, depending on how much you want for your allowance and how sure you are for your client's measurements. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, then transfer it to my back bodice to cut out my back bodice. For the back one, I'm cutting the same thing. The only difference is adding zipper allowance, and also I think I went deeper more for the neckline. So this is it. After I was done cutting it, I added zipper allowance, 1 inch zipper allowance to it. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut out my lining for this, and this is it. After cutting it out, I have my lining for my front bodice and then my lining for my back bodice. And for this, I use my actual lining. Normally I use my fabric for my lining, but this I said to use the normal lining that we all know. So I cut out this fabric stripe for my sleeve, and for this I have the length of 9 inches. Remember, we cut out 4 inches, so I added ½ inch allowance for joining, and then I went ahead to fold it just like I showed you guys. And for the width, I have about 2 inches there. So after I was done joining the sleeve pattern piece, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the bodice before turning it inside out, because I want it to be inside the body. So I just placed it this way. Please go ahead and do the same, and I'll use my pin to hold it, to secure it, make sure it's in place. This I'm placing it at the right side of my fabric, of my black fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and use my lining to cover it up at this same right side. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin this all the way round. Then I'm going to go ahead and then stitch it all the way through from one side of the neckline to the other, and I'll do the same thing for the back one. And this is it. After stitching it down, I just went ahead to remove all the pins I used to hold it in place, turn it inside out, and I'm going to go ahead and then iron it. And I did the same thing for the back side. Just make sure you use your pin to secure it before stitching, making sure that you have what you want, that you place it properly before stitching it down. And this is it after I was done stitching the back and the front, and I also went ahead to iron it. So what I'm going to do is to arrange this front facing front, and then I took out my zipper allowance just like I always do in my videos, most of my videos. So I went ahead to pin my zipper allowance down. Then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the two seam side with my allowance. If you want, at this moment you can measure it before stitching. So this is our flay. We are yet to cut out the zipper allowance. Don't forget to stick with the video so that you see how I cut open the zipper allowance. And I'll be using this bias to turn the flay from the wrong side onto the front side. So I'll place it at the wrong side, stitch it all the way, then notch it because it's a circle, and then turn it to the front side and stitch it down again. And this is the fabric I'll be using for my gathers. And for this, I deducted half of my half length, then marked the remaining measurements, added 2 inches allowance for joining and for hemming. I'm going to go ahead and hem this first, then run the loose stitch on the upper part and gather it. If you don't know how to gather this, I have a detailed video on it in my channel. Please check it out. So this is the bodice after I was done stitching it with my allowance. This next thing I'm going to do is to cut out this fabric bias. Exactly the waist, the width is 4 inches, and the width is exactly as long as my waistline. So I went ahead to fold it into two. I'm going to go ahead and stitch the upper side first, and the rough edges will be at the rough edges of the bodice, and then stitch at the down part of it. And this is it after I was done with the gather part of it, and also went ahead to hem it. So we are going to go ahead and trying to attach the flare to the skirt, to the gather skirt, so that we can cut out the zipper area open. At this moment, I haven't done the bias stitching that I showed you guys earlier. Sorry. So I went ahead to pin down my zipper allowance, just like you guys saw. So the next thing I'm going to do is to measure and make sure that the two sides are equal to that's from where I place the zipper allowance is equal. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place this just like the way it's going to be on the fabric when I am done stitching. That's one side up long, one side, the other side short. And then from that center, I'm going to cut it open. Remember, you are cutting on one side of it. And the next option, the next method of doing this is to also hold the flare in like the way it is now. I'm going to go ahead and notch the two sides so that I will know where the two sides is, and also notch the gather sides. So what I'm going to do is to, like I'm wearing the flare onto the gather, placing the side that I just notched together. I'm going to place it together and then pin it down. So I'll pin it down, making sure I match the two together. So when I was done pinning it down, I opened my zipper allowance, and I'm going to go ahead and arrange this well and then stitch all the way from one zipper allowance to the other. And this is it after I was done stitching it down. I'm going to go ahead and arrange it as well, and making sure that my zipper allowance is at the center. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut it open. Make sure you arrange this very well, that you have everything you wanted in place before cutting it open. And remember, you are cutting at just one side of it. That's the zipper allowance, zipper space, zipper area. So this is it. After cutting it open, we now have our zipper allowance. The reason for doing this is to make sure that you don't cut where you're not supposed to cut, because if you do, it's going to affect the fitting of the flare. So I also, after cutting it, I went ahead to use my fabric bias to turn it, just like I showed you guys earlier, and also turn the zipper area. And this is the bodice. I am done stitching the fabric there, and meanwhile what I'm using is an Ankara fabric and then crepe for the black. Then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the bodice to the skirt. And this is it after I was done stitching it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to close up the zipper allowance and attach my zip. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit on the subscribe button. Do not leave today without subscribing. Please always watch my videos to the end. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.